One of the biggest factors and one of the most things I can't wait to hear about at Tesla Battery Investor Day is how the heck Tesla is going to make a pickup truck that can go over 500 miles and still cost $70,000. Okay, there's a lot of variables to what ultimately ends up making a vehicle cost a certain price, and there's a whole ton of cost-saving methods involved with the Cybertruck. But we have to take a second and just look right now at how Tesla's lineup stands and how it's expected to change so drastically within just a year and a half, essentially. Model S is a nice place to start because it has some nice round numbers. It's a record-breaking vehicle, and for the sake of simplicity, it's easy to use as an example, right? Okay, so the Long Range Plus Model S has a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack that can give it a 402-mile EPA estimated range. That currently starts at $75,000, okay? After taxes and everything, it's more like $80,000. And somehow, within the next year and a half, Tesla is going to be able to produce a vehicle that can go further and likely have a much higher weight and also have towing capabilities. And I'm guessing that the drag coefficient of the Cybertruck is probably not going to be as good as some of the smaller vehicles that Tesla is accustomed to making. So how big is that battery pack inside the Cybertruck? A lot of people, when it comes to the tri-motor, are guessing that it's somewhere around 200 kilowatt hours, whether it's two 100 packs stacked together, or many people across Reddit have theorized that Tesla is going to have 4 separate 50 kilowatt hour battery packs that can all be charged at the same time. That way, with version 4 supercharging, you could potentially charge at faster rates over 250 kilowatts, which we've talked about with version 4 supercharging and how exactly Tesla's going to be handling that, but reasonable to assume, given how we've seen the Tesla Semi charging its superchargers using 2 stalls at once, that perhaps having multiple battery packs inside the vehicle could allow you to charge faster while also having an insanely good range. So, of course, it's up to speculation because we're sure the Cybertruck is going to be heavier than the Model S. I think that can be assumed given its insane size and the fact that it's an exoskeleton and so much stainless steel. You're packing around, a 6-foot bed, a vault, all this Tesla armored glass. It's a big vehicle, and I feel like most people don't truly understand how large it is until they see it for themselves. But fact is, when you have a larger vehicle, it requires more energy to move. So looking at how now a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack Model S that costs $75,000 can go 400 miles, how exactly is Tesla going to be able to build batteries cheap enough with high enough energy density that they can get a larger vehicle that weighs more, that's capable of doing more, go 500 miles? And yet at the same time, all of those amazing specs, it's going to start at $70,000. That's right, cheaper than what the Model S starts at today. For the sake of you guys maybe trying to correct me in the comments, yes, I understand. The Cybertruck's exoskeleton and its design language should allow Tesla to save a ton of money by not having to worry about body panels and not having to worry about the paint shop because they can bypass all that. So truly, the bulk of the cost of the Cybertruck is really just going towards the motors and the battery pack, which could easily start hitting north of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 before we start taking into consideration every other aspect of the vehicle, whether it's the tires being much larger than what most Teslas have, or the adaptive air suspension, or all of the cameras and headlights that go into it. Sure, as Sandy Monroe has talked about, this is going to be a piece of cake to build, but the real trick with the Cybertruck, the real reason they're going to be able to hit 500 miles of range at a $70,000 price is because there needs to be some type of battery breakthrough, okay? There's not really a way around it. With today's battery technology, I don't really think it's that feasible to make a truck this size that can go that far with energy efficiency not as good as the S3 or Y and only charge $70,000 for it. How can Tesla do this profitably? Well, they have to have plans in place for the battery to get cheaper to produce. There's likely going to be some economies of scale Tesla's counting on. The fact that if we price it just right, there will be enough people willing to pay, and because there's that many people willing to pay, we can afford to take a certain amount of profit off of each Cybertruck, compared to a company like Rivian, where they're going to have a very hard time getting a vehicle that cheap because they know there's probably not going to be as many vehicles produced as there are Cybertrucks, because Rivian has around 30,000 reservations, so that's kind of the consumer base they know they're planning for, whereas the Cybertruck has over 500,000. So if you know that many people are going to be ordering your car, you can price it somewhat accordingly. However, I would not be entirely shocked. I'm not saying I want this to happen, but I wouldn't be super surprised if Tesla ended up pricing the Cybertruck a little bit differently than originally promised. Very similar to what happened with the Model 3. They said it would start at $35,000, and it does, but they're not super proud of it. You have to kind of call in to get that model, and in the terms and conditions of the Cybertruck reservation process, they do disclose that, hey, the final pricing of this vehicle could change, and also we have the right to cancel your order and refund you if we decide that we don't want to make a particular Cybertruck. So in case any of you are wondering if Tesla can back out on any of these Cybertruck configurations, they legally can. Obviously, there would be a lot of social backlash, and people would be very, very mad if they took reservations for the tri-motor Cybertruck and then decided, you know what, actually, we can't do that. Yeah, they would get a whole lot of flack and a whole lot of bad press, but legally, they can. I don't think that's going to happen personally, because I think the tri-motor Cybertruck is one of the most heavily demanded vehicles of all time. Tesla has seen tremendous demand for this truck, and I think a lot of it stems from people seeing the insane performance and the reasonable price point of that tri-motor, even though technically it doesn't really exist. It's still in the conceptual phase. The Cybertruck that Tesla brought to the Peterson Museum and brought out on stage and is driven around LA, that is a dual motor prototype, so we don't really know if that can reach 300 miles of range, but being able to stuff a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack in a $70,000 truck is not easy to do. But I do, however, believe Tesla is the only EV company out there that's capable of doing this and still making a profit, because they are so deep on the battery. There's a lot we still don't know about battery day. I've done my videos breaking down what I think it is, only to have Elon discredit everything the next day, saying, nope, we're not working with Amprius. Nope, that's not silicon nanowires. So I would love to keep speculating, but honestly, we should probably just wait and see what happens. So I think that figuring out that energy density and figuring out how to build batteries in a cost-effective way is going to be key. It's going to be absolutely crucial for Tesla to achieve these insane specs that so many people love about the Cybertruck. And man, I hope they can simplify it and bring more manufacturing efficiencies than we've ever seen, even more so than the Model Y, because they're going to need it with so much money going towards those giant battery packs that are going to be towing things and moving such a larger vehicle through cold climates, warm climates, off-road and that kind of stuff. It's going to require huge, enormous battery packs. You know, the Rivian is going to be using a nearly 200 kilowatt hour battery pack to go 400 miles. So what kind of kings of energy efficiency can push it to 500 miles? There's probably a decent chance the battery pack of the tri-motor could exceed 200 kilowatt hours, particularly if they're expecting people are going to tow stuff with this, because as we know, towing things with electric vehicles kills the range fairly substantially. So this is one of the biggest things I'm going to be looking for at Battery Day. Let me know what else you guys are interested in. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.